Hunting and collecting, the Artemis, Diana, Demeter series archetypes. Screens, computer games, movies, TV and cellular phones. The development of video and computer technology has enabled the development of technological enchantment products targeted at the hunter and collector archetypes. These operate much on the same principle as gambling bewitchment. Positive reinforcement operant conditioning. Computer games enchant players much in the same way as gambling. I have spoken to gaming machine problem gamblers who told me they played computer games as a substitute for gaming machines. They acknowledged the computer games affected them in the same way as gaming machines, but they did not involve the money problems. A few years ago, problem gamblers could purchase a game and just keep playing it at no extra monetary cost. The problem gamblers still felt enchanted in that playing the computer games in their state of enchantment took up time they would rather have spent in other ways, such as spending time with their families. But it was better than the gaming machines as they did not suffer financially. I should add here that many gaming machine problem gamblers I have spoken to were distressed not only because they lost money, but because they felt mentally violated by the machines. The machines had taken away their reason. Being caught up in a predatory bewitchment was extremely painful for them. Computer games and loot boxes. The manufacturers of computer games have appreciated the enchantment imposed by the games, and today more and more games have virtual currencies. With these currencies you can purchase loot boxes to get more power, information, weapons, characters and so on. And in addition, what you get for your money can be random, a bit like buying sports cards. Some jurisdictions are arguing that computer games with loot boxes are gambling. There are technical arguments for and against this. The reward in the computer game reinforcement schedule is not money, but winning the game. As with the bewitched gambler, the reward for an enchanted game player does not have to be money, just something of value to the player. Converging towards the same model. Just as lotteries are moving towards the real gaming machine model, so also are computer games. The plan is to get the player bewitched or enchanted with a positive reinforcement operant conditioning device using variable rewards and playing to exhaustion. Computer game enchantment. Just because computer games do not pay out money does not mean they cannot enchant. On the contrary, whilst computer game enchantment does not normally involve the money problems, it causes great harm to the entranced person and a distress to the person's loved ones. For example, I met one young man whose wife had become enchanted by a fantasy computer game. She spent every waking hour playing it, even neglecting food and hygiene. She had worked her way up in the game to become some high-level witch. Finally, the husband, in desperation, cancelled the internet connection, and that day his wife left. The husband was very distressed. Combat computer games. The Aries Mars archetype, which we have considered in relation to the military, can be activated by computer games, particularly games known as first-person shooter games. In these games, the player is put into the situation of a soldier, police officer, criminal or similar combat person shooting or otherwise killing other people. These games are highly immersive and put the player under an enchantment. An enchanted player who loses touch with reality can carry out similar actions in real life. Recently, one player shot a large number of people and videoed himself shooting them, just like in a computer game. reckless driving computer games. Also, be careful of computer games which encourage reckless driving, such as giving points for running over pedestrians. If you are ever in a real-life situation where there is a risk of running over a pedestrian, it may take only a fraction of a second for your unconscious mind to work out whether or not it is occurring in a game, but that fraction of a second may well be the difference between life and death. Love, the Aphrodite-Venus archetype. Love, enchantment, bewitchment, infatuation. As Bottom said in Shakespeare's play A Midsummer Night's Dream, to say the truth, reason and love keep little company together nowadays. We speak of a man being bewitched by a woman. The word bewitched, as I've mentioned, originally meant being put under a spell or trance by a woman, a witch. To be enchanted was to be put under a spell or trance by a man, an enchanter. We could also say a man or woman was fascinated by another. And we previously mentioned fascination comes from the Latin fascinatio, the ancient Roman word for hypnosis. Courting. When you are courting, you need to pay attention to both what your conscious and unconscious are telling you. Of course, there is the sexual urge, and that emanates mostly from instinct. You may be physically attracted, but what are the higher levels of your unconscious telling you? If your relationship is purely based on physical sex, and your unconscious is not happy with the match, you would do well to pay attention. I think, as a general rule, women are more in tune with their unconscious when assessing a partner. Infatuation will fall away in time. If you are enchanted or bewitched by a partner, this is infatuation. Infatuation is a blissful, entranced state. However, sooner or later, the infatuation will drop away and you will have to see your partner as another person in the clear light of day with all his or her strengths and weaknesses. Love. The difference between love and infatuation is that infatuation is a short-lived, intense passion, whereas love is a deep affection for someone that lasts the test of time. So, in choosing a partner, you want to use both your conscious and unconscious, your head and your heart. It is good if you share the same interests, but the most important thing is that you share the same values, good values, with the other. Your partner should not only be a sexual partner, but a good colleague and loyal friend. Infatuation is not necessarily bad. Infatuation is not necessarily bad, not at all. It is wonderful to experience, but it is bad if it causes you to choose the wrong partner, or, should you become infatuated with another, causes you to break up a good partnership. Hooked on infatuation. Another situation where infatuation is bad is where you get hooked on the enchantment, bewitchment of infatuation itself and engage in a series of intense short-term love affairs which quickly burn out. Unconscious attracted by like. If you are having a number of failed relationships with partners who should be suitable, the problem is probably you yourself. It is probable your unconscious is unhappy and is seeking out partners who are also unhappy at the unconscious level. Such relationships are all too likely to fail. Or, being unhappy in yourself, you are trying to redress your internal unhappiness by attaching yourself to a happy person. And this is unfair to the other. You need to be in good shape for a relationship. You need to be happy and aligned in your conscious and unconscious minds before you enter into a romantic relationship. If you are not I would strongly recommend seeing some experts, perhaps a hypnotherapist and a life coach, working out a responsible course of action that would make you happy, and making the necessary changes through hypnosis, motivational courses, further education and life changes. And on a practical note, make yourself presentable. Dress well, stand up straight, keep your body and clothing clean and floss your teeth, speak well, eat respectfully, eat good food, be courteous, and learn and practice good manners. And don't smoke. Also, try and put yourself in the place of the other. If you're a man, put yourself in place of the woman and think what the woman wants from you and the relationship, and vice versa. Try and learn how the other sex, or person in the case of a homosexual relationship, thinks and wants. Thank you for listening.